Welcome, Lee. I'm so happy to have you on here. I know you have a super busy schedule, and it's just wonderful to have you back. You were on episode 342, if you can remember back there.
How long ago was that?
Well, let's just put it this way. You had 11 dogs, so I don't know what you have
Yes.
now.
I was aside. It's not a matter of time. It was a matter of a lifetime.
Oh, exactly. I
A
mean,
lifetime ago.
it was probably 2 years ago because we're
Yeah.
on like
Gosh.
670 now. So
I can imagine that
I know,
podcast. I was
I
a different
know.
person, man.
Well, let's talk. Let's go from there. Like, how do you feel like you're different from that state? Because I think you were just about to move into your place.
Yeah. Man, how I'm different. That's a really enlightening question. I mean, I'm just different in so many ways. I'm gone, you know, I think the best way to change is through experiences, right? Especially painful ones and traumatic ones and things like that. And I mean, just in the past couple of years, I mean, I honestly, I often, uh, I'll give you an example. So yesterday I was making coffee and I said, enough of that, stop it. And my girlfriend came in and she's like, what happened? Did one of the dogs do something? I said, no. She's, who are you talking to? I said, my thoughts. And I have to think about like, who I was at that time. And I'm like a very, very hard on myself. And I just 2 years ago, I just think I was in probably a rough place thinking about the direction I was taking, the sanctuary and the animals. And it was a pivotal time in my life because I really had to decide how far I wanted to grow. And I know now that growth means, pain and stuff like that. So, I definitely think I'm a lot more patient now. I've matured, in many ways. I'm definitely not as triggered. I used to be very sensitive to things that didn't matter. I'd say the biggest difference, I'm still definitely a work in progress, but I was more reactive instead of responsive.
Hmm.
And now I do a lot of things to help me with my, emotional state and things like that. I mean, yeah, just the way that I invest in myself now, as far as what I do for myself to better myself, and from cold plunge to sauna to affirmations to breath work to exercise to who I surround myself with, the way I talk to myself. All of these things is the recipe. I truly believe now for a fact, like if you want to be successful, I don't mean financially, I mean, fulfilled success, you have to invest in yourself, just like I'm sure the way you view yoga and things like, I mean, you just have to do things that are good for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And the
you
thing,
have to, yeah.
yeah, and when you're doing something that requires your own energy and love, even though you're getting so much in return, this is what people don't realize. And I think a lot of people in the that are in some kind of service toward animals, toward helping them, rescuing them, if they don't take care of themselves, it's really there's a lot of burnout because it's
You see it all the time.
Mhm.
And may I say something?
Of course.
Not to go on, you look amazing. You
Oh,
look beautiful.
oh
You
my
look,
gosh! Thank you,
yeah,
Lee. You're
you
my
look
new best
gorgeous.
friend. I
Hey,
know.
really, you look gorgeous.
Oh, bless
Um,
you. Thank you so much.
I mean
Thank
it.
you. I know.
Um,
I appreciate that. And
but
you do as well. And really your
thank you.
vibe is like, and one of the questions I got, actually many people ask, do you have a girlfriend? And you just kind of like, you don't tend to talk about that online. And I think that's probably smart. Is that intentional?
Uh, well, with this relationship that I'm in is is interesting because she would rather I don't, and when in my past relationships, it was the opposite,
Right.
talk about me and post me and this. But with this one, I've learned now, although I'm very confident in this relationship, it's best to wait until for sure, we don't live together, but that's definitely on the horizon. Um, but I was about to say we're taking it slow, but I don't think that's it. I think we're both in this beautiful chapter of our lives where we're really working on ourselves and like growing together as we work on ourselves, not working on the relationship, but working on ourselves in order to better the relationship. So I think at some point, as long as she's, if she was comfortable with it tomorrow, I think I would talk about it more. But at this time, I don't find it to be that necessary. I
Hmm.
also, I learned like 2 years ago, I thought that I had this obligation to invite people to every single area of my life, that they had to be informed about every habit, every thought, every person. And now I realize you talked about, being healthy to ourselves, having some boundaries are quite necessary. The problem is what I've learned is that when it comes to social media, by not sharing things, people will make things up. It's amazing when I read on social media about things about me that, oh, Lee said this in an interview. Lisa, and I sometimes it blows my mind. I never said, it doesn't bother me. I find it like the other day, someone said, I wish I could marry you. And someone replied to that person saying, well, he's gay. He just said that he said he was gay. So I don't, and I said, I never said I was gay. I have a girlfriend. So that was the time where I said I have a girlfriend.
Right. But it's true. If you leave that open, it's like a vacuum for people to fill
And
and make assumptions.
just coming up with their own things, which is like so strange to me.
So strange.
So
But
strange.
I think what you share though is just perfect, because what you share is, it's realness, it's real
Yeah.
emotions, it's grief, it's joy, it's all of it. It's being human. And I think whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because I'm sure with as many followers as you have, I bet percentage wise you have the most positivity in that, and that really comes from you, because of what you're doing. And of course, it's just like, I just go to your page every day for, it's like a little hit of an endorphin, like watching you out with your dogs you're sharing that joy. And it's not, there's very few, maybe they're more out there. I just don't spend much time looking for them, but there's very few platforms that do that it's like everybody's benefiting from this.
Yeah, that's really that's really my goal. I mean,
Yep.
really, I have that intention every single day to make as many people smile as possible. I was when I'm in my sauna and that's where I do my affirmations. I say every day in every way, I'm inspiring more and more people. Every day in every way, I'm making more and more people smile. Every day in every way, I'm making more and more lives better and greater. And I really try to feel that. And I believe that in my core. Like, I wish people knew how badly I wanted that. Like, I want that so bad, because I know that everyone just deals with so much pain, and there's so many distractions. And if I could just help someone be distracted with a smile or make them laugh, I really want to do that. Like, I know that life can be so unfair, like I know firsthand. And I just, that's the whole point of the Extra House. And as far as taking care of yourself, you mentioned it about in the animal rescue world, and I just wish more animal rescuers and animal advocates really truly understood the importance of taking care of your mind, body, and soul. And it's not just animal rescue, it's in any business, but especially when you're dealing with this much loss and you're really dependent on donations and you're dependent on your team. Like, you have to be so well-rounded, right? You have to be energized. You have to be focused, have mental clarity, be patient. You have to be ready to bury one dog and then go rescue another. All of this in a matter, and hire someone and fire someone. All of those four things is just another day. And the importance of taking care of yourself and doing things, that are not easy, but that are good for you, are so vital and crucial to life. I mean, it's just,
You're
yeah.
right.
I mean,
It's what I look at that as like the umbrella of emotional intelligence that unfortunately it isn't as kind of amplified, if not even shown that much, like in schooling, like how important it is to learn that there are going to be disappointments, and
Yeah.
disappointments are actually really good for you. They're really
Oh my
good for
gosh.
you, right? You're going
Yeah.
to learn so much from that. And
Yeah.
and then be happy for others. Like somebody having something that you don't isn't taking it directly from you. By actually being happy for a person, you're all going to benefit, but we're not really taught that. It's a very
No, not at all, because the world
Mhm.
creates this, this constant competition,
Yeah.
and you hear all these motivational speakers when you're sleeping, someone else is taking your money, and all of this to compete. The all I'll give you a quick example. We could go. I just could push back my 12 o'clock, so we could go like to 12:05. I'll see how long I can push it back. But I had this really successful guy here, a friend of mine, and he wanted to spend the day with Lee Asher, right? He's like, I want to know what it's like. So I was like, all right, I start my morning at 5, and he's like, I'll get there at 7. So I said, that's perfect. I exercise from 7 to 9. And at one point, we were taking these medicine balls, and I was throwing the medicine ball at him, and he was throwing it back. And as I'm throwing the medicine ball, I'm thinking of how I'm going to make the day epic. What am I going to do today to shine light? What am I going to do today with the dog? And then he says, you throw the ball further than me, but I know that you do this often. And I said, is that what you're thinking about? And I was serious. I'm like, are you thinking about that? And then it hit me, all day he was mentioning, because I did the sauna 5 minutes longer than him. I did the cold plunge 3 minutes. I'm like, you're in this constant state of competing with someone. I was like, Eric, now for once is then general. I said, I didn't think about what you were doing at all. The nothing that you did with me today made me feel like we were at this competition. And I realized he was competing with me the whole day, not in a bad way, but in any way. Why compete with the world? You have enough competition within yourself. Just try to be better than you were yesterday. And that's the only thing that we should be doing, right? And that's when you don't have to worry about who's more successful than you and who has this and who has that, and be happy for people or sad about this or sad about that. It's like you have to do everything you can do to be better than you were yesterday. That should be the goal,
Absolutely. And that's because the one thing that we can control to some degree is ourselves. Nothing else.
Exactly.
No, we can't control anything else.
You use school for an example. It starts with school, right? Whoever does this first gets recess. Whoever does that first, they create the competition. They give you the sugar, the bad food. They create it all at such a young age.
Totally. Oh my gosh, it's so true. If we could change the schooling system, because that's where everybody, it's like all these little people that are going to become big people. And if we could help them, just become more to know what their feelings mean, and that they shouldn't be scared of their feelings or stuff them down, or, just push them out to somebody else. It's missing for sure. Well, let's talk about the dogs a little bit. Because I am so sure every time you rescue a dog, it like you've even mentioned this, it just heals you. But there have been some lately. I mean, this Matilda is just amazing. Before you talk about any individual dogs, and maybe it's better not to because they're all amazing. How did you? This was asked, but I also wonder, how do you know that a dog is going to stay with you in your pack versus be adopted out? Is it just an energy sense?
I don't know. And I've been wrong before, so I let the dog decide. I don't decide. I let the dog decide. And while people enjoy you mentioned of me walking the dogs, as people enjoy this walk, for me, that walk every single day is an assessment. I get to watch there's 47 dogs, right? And then maybe 2 or 3 of them are behind me, so you don't see them, and I don't have to watch them. We're talking about Lily and Shelby, the older dogs who, there. But the rest of the pack, I'm monitoring and assessing, and I can see okay, this dog is hyper-focused on that dog, and it's not respecting that dog's boundaries. So although the dog gets gets along well with the pack. The dog that, like, for example, I'll just be specific. We have this bloodhound named Jules, really had a tough life. I brought her in here with, she was left outside with a Great Pyrenees and a puppy bloodhound. And like, she's so hyper focused on my dog Loba, right? No fights, no nothing, but hyper focused on Loba. Now, to the outside eye, you would say he's probably going to keep Jules, but I'm not, because that hyper focus creates anxiety and tension. And because Jules doesn't respect Loba's boundaries, Loba is considered a leader of the pack. And if she ever says, "Hey, I've warned you enough times, now I'm going to get aggressive," by not rehoming Jules, it was irresponsible of me not to see that, because the pack will defend Loba, and the pack will turn. And the only reason that hasn't happened is because I've been able to, on these pack walks, it's why I'm so afraid to leave the property, because things can change in a day. The dog can all of a sudden just not like something about a dog, and it can sometimes stick. It usually doesn't, but it can sometimes stick. And that's one of the harder things I'd say is, like, you know, I can have a dog who, Jules, the bloodhound is a great example. You know, I'm getting closer with her, and I love this dog, but I know that by keeping her, it's selfish reasons. It's not what's best for the dog. So I let the pack decide. And that's, you know, where the social media thing is funny. And it's actually built a strong muscle for me that I'm grateful for, that I used to be afraid of. When I used to say, "Hey, I'm rehoming this dog," I felt nervous because people say, no, I love that dog. I love that dog. But now I realize, like, what happens? What do I tell people if I say, "Okay, I didn't rehome the dog, but now look what happened, this accident"? I would never, ever, ever forgive myself. So I let the dogs decide. I always let the dogs decide. And speaking of Matilda, I can't tell you the feeling. I really, really, really hoped, manifested, and even prayed that the pack would accept her. When you have a dog with disabilities, it's not like the movies or the cartoons where the pack is like, "Oh, I'm going to take care of you." And you see the comments like, "Oh, they're going to take such good care of her." It's like, no, they're going to say, say it again.
It's a weakness.
Exactly. It's a weakness. And at the end of the day, they all these animals came from wolves, and it's survival of the fittest. It really sucks. The human life is really unfair, but nothing is more unfair than nature. Nothing is more unfair than when you see the baby deer or the baby moose or the hippopotamus get killed by the father even. You know, you can't wrap your head around such sad things. And it happens here. It happens with dogs. You know, you always see, "I don't know what happened. The dog attacked. I don't know what happened." It's because you didn't pay attention to the signs. The dog was telling you your whole life, and you weren't paying attention. You have to be aware. So I'm going back to Matilda. I really, really tried to only focus on the good. If you focus on what happens if they do this to her, you're attracting that energy. So I would really focus on the love and how they would protect her, and I really hoped that she wouldn't be too overwhelmed because she has a neurological thing. And then, man, I can't tell you, you know, I'm so happy that they really, I can't believe it. Honestly, I can't believe it. They love her. Like, they really love her, and they're so patient with her. All of them, all 46. And like, they really don't treat her any different. She's just a part of the pack. And she, like, I can't believe this, but she's doing better. Like, she is like healing from the pack. You know, the pack, when it works, it works.
Lee, I've seen it. I mean, I'm a neurological rehab PT, so I know about neurological stuff. And I've been watching, and even the way she's managing her gait, that ataxic gait is it's much better. Even in this, like, I don't even know, 5 days that I've seen the videos.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I've had her for like 6 weeks now, 5 weeks, and she's just like, I mean, you know, I really, you know, a dog at this point of my career, like, I love the dog. I love having a dog, but, you know, it's all about the dog. I don't get much, like, the return that I get, right, like I have that already from the pack.
Right.
You know, you don't need 47 dogs to feel the love that you need from a dog. Everything that people get when they talk about how beautiful it is to own a dog, it's all true, but I don't need another dog to feel more of that.
Right.
At this point, when I bring in dogs, it's just for that dog. That the only thing that's getting benefit is the dog, right? It's costing me more time, more money, more this, but the dog gets a better life, and that is what's beautiful to me. And luckily, at this point in my career, with how many people I have helping me and how much support we have, those things don't affect me, right? More time, we have the time. Money, we have the money. We can help the dog, whatever. I never thought I'd bring in a dog that would have such an emotional impact on my life. Like I lost a lot this year. In the last couple of years, I've had really just a lot of struggle with losing some really important dogs to me. And just the whole process of the new sanctuary was really difficult for me. And it just wasn't an easy road. And Matilda, like, brought a light to me. I got to be honest, I don't think I thought I'd never have it. Like, I think I accepted that light that I once had, that I think a lot of people like really liked it. It doesn't matter what people, I liked it. I've had this like naive light about me. When I say naive, because I didn't know about all the darkness I would see and feel, but she brought it back, like she brought back this joy in me that I accepted I'd never have. And I there aren't words to express how grateful I am for that. I'm so thankful. I love her. I like, it's so beyond love. It's like, she's just she's truly a blessing to all of us. Not just to me. I think that's what makes it so pure, is that like the dogs love her. When I bring in a new dog, she helps that new dog adjust so quickly. She helps the new dogs adjust so quickly. And it was really special to be able to
it says a lot about all, you and the environment you've set up. I mean, I'm curious, in that large pack, it sounds like you are picking up signs and signals early on, but has there ever been a time where you were nervous about like managing them? You just seem to have such, and I don't know what the word is, but I think it's like, if we talk about, I don't like it in this kind of hierarchically way, like you have control over them. You have an amazing, just relationship with them and their energy, that as many of them that are around, it never seems chaotic. But I imagine there's probably been a time or two where you must have felt, or did you ever feel like, whoa, what am I going to do if they get in a fight over there, or somebody's not listening?
I only feel that way. It's a good question. I see what you're saying. When there's people here, like when it's just me and my dog, like going back to my relationship, right? Like this is something that's really sad for me. People always ask me if my dogs fight or if they get out of hand or anything like that. And if it's just me and my dogs, right? I mean, I don't have to worry about anything, right? The dogs know. You said you don't like to talk about control and stuff like that. I as well am trying to find a nicer way to frame it. But they know, my dogs know that I have everything under control.
You're the leader. They're looking to you for that.
But the dogs like to feel that way. Mm-hmm. Dogs like to feel like you have everything under control.
Yes.
They like that feeling. They don't like to feel controlled. They like to feel like you have everything under control. There's a difference, right? Yeah. So the really tight leash, that's not what I'm talking. Obviously, I don't even use leashes, right? So, but when there's other people in the mix, other people add that energy of control, because now I'm not going to control someone, right? So now they know Dad is also watching his girlfriend, the employees, this. So let's see what we can get away with. Let's see what our boundaries are. It's completely different, you know? You see, recently I've been seeing like a lot of memes on like, they show what my dog is like when it's just me and him. And it's like the dog resting and laying down. And then what my dog is like when I have my friend over and the dog is going crazy, you know? So for me, when it doesn't matter if it's 11 dogs, like when we met, or the most we've had is, I believe 58 dogs. So 58 dogs. It's about getting the people around me to be on board. So even when people want to come visit and stuff like that, it's like, it's not worth it to me, because it's not worth what it can happen with the dogs.
I have one dog, and I can tell, I know that feeling. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to direct somebody when they come in, hey, get down. Like,
Right.
don't just stand over there, because I want to tell him what to do to make him feel, because he's definitely an anxious wiring. You wouldn't know it. Like if you saw him right now, he's just chilling out. But yeah, but it's harder to control other people.
It just brings a whole different energy force, right?
Yeah.
Like people will say, like, I'll be quiet, I'll be this. Like I know that you know this. Like you are surrounded by so much energy, right? Your energy gets ill and gets sick before your body does. It's all this force that you bring with you. So it's like, it's just it's really hard to explain to people. But to simplify your question, if I ever feel overwhelmed or something like that, I didn't go from 11 to 60 or 11 to 47. I went from 11 to 12 and 12 to 13, 13 to 14. So I to me, I really enjoy it, having a lot of them. I love seeing them all just live their life. We're at the point now where I think any new dog we bring in, no matter how I especially with Matilda here, like she has allowed me to say, like, hey, this is going to be my focus with what we have. The new dogs that we bring in, it's probably best that we, find them a home. The problem with that is what, a lot of people, you have two sides. You have the people who want me to keep every single dog, and then you have the people who want me to get the dogs adopted. Both, I wish, would mind their own business,
Oh my gosh, I know. The other person I follow is Beth Stern, and she does all these fosterings, and people are always like, aren't you going to keep this one? And she finally will say, like, I really wish you would stop asking that, because
I just have to ignore it. But the thing is like where it gets complicated is like some dogs it's really simple. But if a dog will thrive with my pack, then they're going to stay in the pack. And if we have too many dogs and a dog will thrive in my pack, I'm going to only find them a home that can give them a similar space that what we do, right? They're not going to go from this sanctuary doing great to living in Manhattan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a process. What I'm really fortunate about is we have a rescue partner, family dog and new life animal shelter, and they're only about 45 minutes an hour from me. And they're an animal shelter, but what's really beautiful about this animal shelter, it's a pretty big space, and there's no kennels. So it's basically like a daycare for all the dogs. So you can go and you could see the dog that you want. I'll bring dogs there if they're available for adoption, because they're going to be with other dogs in the pack and get adopted to a family that they kind of see what they're getting. You know what I mean? They're getting a dog that does well with other dogs, does well with people, etc.
And what I've also loved is that you also have cats. Now, are those cats in your house?
Yeah.
But they have their own separate place.
So the dogs have the second floor and the cats have the first floor.
Oh, I love all the cat stuff you have. I have a cat too, and my cat and dog we have an upstairs downstairs situation as well.
Yeah.
You just have to know your animals. I look at all these wonderful animals that are snuggling, and my cat just we rescued him from Puerto Rico. He's like he was a street cat. He's like, does not like dogs. So it's too bad, but we have an upstairs downstairs. So I was figuring that you probably had them separated. And how many cats do you have?
We have 7 cats. 7 cats. I used to, when I had less dogs, they would all be together, all the cats and all the dogs, and people would love that. But part of being a responsible pet owner, you have to minimize risk.
Totally.
And what a lot of people do is they take action once the damage is done. The dog bit the cat, the cat scratched the dog's eye. You have to minimize risk way before. That's what makes you good at what you do, is to know the potential. So with 47 dogs, do they all get along with cats? Probably. They've all met the cats. I'll when I work out, I'll bring a couple of the dogs with me because that's where the cats are, where I exercise. But why risk the cat's safety?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to ask the cat,
we didn't want to be around 47 dogs.
Say, hey,
hell no.
Would you like me to leave this door open so you can be with the dogs and the dogs? I'm sure all 7 cats will say, please shut the door on their way out, right?
Yes.
And that's what you have to think about. That goes from putting up correct fencing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries, and if you have a baby, not taking the risk, eliminating all of the potential risk. And I'm a believer, it's a dark truth, but anything that can happen, like what Darwin said, anything that can't happen will. And I do everything I can so what can't happen so that it won't.
I love that. I love it. Well, you're responsible, but you're also, there's like a natural, I think it's because, again, you have a relationship with energy around you. And that doesn't just require talking or listening, that requires noticing and feeling, and that, you're not like a certified dog trainer, but you're probably better than any dog trainer most people can find, or is as good, because you have that gift of really thinking, how can I be as responsible and protective for a loving and like vibrant but safe household.
Right. And yeah, I think the dog training is a whole another topic that we can get into. But I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do want to, take the opportunity to remind everyone that I'm not a dog trainer, and there's a lot of, great dog trainers out there. For some reason, the dog training industry has become extreme. I'm so glad I'm not a dog trainer. I'm so glad that whenever it comes up, I have the opportunity to tell everyone, because they're such a competitive man. I mean, that's.
Mm-hmm. But I think what it shows is like, you're actually, again, there's, like you said, wonderful dog training, and dog training can be amazing, but you're taking to another level, which is taking the time.
It's the experience.
Right.
Yeah.
To understand that, yeah.
If it's truly about the experience. I mean, I've really seen a lot of dog trainers get dog training certified in 6 months and think they can handle any situation. I want to tell you something really important. Okay. So, we hire people, and I like to bring on dog trainers because I know that most of them can, under pressure, can figure things out. And many times, you talk about me being overwhelmed. Many times I noticed that you think nothing's worse. I'm for some reason, I'm having a hard time communicating this. Imagine if you think 1 + 2 is 3. You know that 1 + 2 is 3, right? So if you're a dog trainer, if you tell a dog to do this, it's simple, the dog will do this. So this, you feel good about this, and you have confidence with this. But all of a sudden, you enter a world where someone says, what's 1 + 2? And you figure out it's 4. That's what it's like to walk into my pet. You have to forget what you've learned. It's a completely different experience. You're going from 1 dog to 47 dogs. It's a different approach, a different mentality, a different energy. And just like a dog trainer would have a difficult time coming into my pack and like taking control, if you will, I would have a hard time taking 1 dog and being able to successfully have it do an obstacle course. Yeah. I could never do it. I'm going to take the dog to the course and say, do whatever you want, have fun.
Right. Have fun.
Have a good time. So one's not right, one's not wrong. It's about knowing what you're good at. You know what I mean?
Well, you're literally living with the pack, right? That's very different.
That's
it's not coming in and training them.
You're
in this,
absolutely right. Mm-hmm. And people need to really understand that. Like, it was very easy for me to get my 10,000 hours. It's every second of the day. The only time I'm not with my pack and working on the pack is if I'm in a meeting like this, that's really it. They're all right outside. I don't know if you hear them barking, but they're all just waiting for me to come downstairs. They're all in my room. They're in my kitchen. Wherever I am, they am. I am. And it's a 24/7 job because I'm constantly listening, constantly watching. I am literally one with them.
Yeah.
You know, like I can know what each one is feeling and thinking. I can know if one is off. I can know if one needs to go to the vet way before most people would see the signs, right? It's that connection. And I want you to know something. Any single person watching this or listening to this, you would too. I don't have this special gift. It's because of the amount of time, right? So I don't say it to brag. It's the amount of time that I spend with them that only naturally one would get so connected. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right. You're in it. I know. So
Yeah.
I have a question. I know you're limited on time.
Yeah.
All right. Feeding 47 dogs, because I feel like feeding is can be a chaotic time and can be probably people trying to get each other's bowls. Like, how do you manage that? Do you feed like in clumps or do you just?
Well, that's a good question. You know, it's a common one we're getting a lot. So when we first met a couple of years ago with 11 dogs, one second, just let this person down. Hello. Well, that's just you know, open. Thank you. When it was, you know, I think I did this up until like 25 dogs. Once I reached 25, I said, you know what? Let's minimize the risk.
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
At 25 dogs. So I used to feed them one by one, and it was great to get on camera. And, you know, people loved watching them eat. How did they not fight? It was really good for my ego. You know, it was like, I was like, wow, look what I can do.
Look how well behaved they are.
Look at this beautiful image, you know. But then you start bringing in puppies, right? And they want every drop in that, right? Taking the seniors through. So at this point, I minimize the risk. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care anymore. I want what's best for the dog. And I don't want a stressful eating environment for them. With that many dogs, I noticed that the dogs that were eating, and I will say, I don't mind saying, luckily there was never a fight, but I know for a fact if I didn't change my methods, 100% a fight would have happened.
Yeah, totally.
Because I could see the dogs that were eating weren't looking at the food. They were looking up.
Yeah, like who's going to come over?
And I said to myself, I wouldn't want to eat like that. So now because of the feeding situation, I've incorporated kennels, and just during that time frame, I kennel them, I feed them, I let them take an hour rest and a nap, and then they're all back out.
Oh, I love that. I think that I love what you said. Like you know what could happen and what actually, especially with feeding, is going to happen with the best behaved animals. So why?
Absolutely. And you think about what you would want if you were the dog. Right. You know, that's what I started asking myself when it comes to keeping a dog, helping a dog, feeding a dog, whatever it is. It's like, if I put myself in this situation, it was very easy. If I was eating my food and I was looking up to see who was going, you know, who was a threat, what would I do? I wouldn't take my bowl of food to my room. So that's right. So that I would close the doors so no one can mess with me. And that's what I did for them. And I have to tell you something, so much of my days are asking myself, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah.
Why didn't I think of that? Why did I do that? You know, it's like I'm in this constant state of, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. You know what I mean? I wish I would have said this. I wish I would have said that.
But it seems like overall, the way that you're speaking to yourself, being more gentle in your own kind of
Definitely
introspection, because that's like it's like a cycle, right? So if you're kinder to yourself, you're always going to be kind to the animals, but you're going to run out of steam because it's really exhausting. I think for everybody out there, we talk about how we speak to ourselves. Like it should be like we're talking to our best friend. It should be like we're talking to our animals. Like why don't we employ that with ourselves? Because it's pretty exhausting to be critical all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, something that I recently started to implement then, which has been really difficult for me, is like when I say something nasty to myself, I record it and then I listen to it. And I imagine if I spoke that way to a friend,
right,
then I'm like, come on, man, you know, you don't deserve that. You know, You're healing. You've made mistakes. You're growing, but you don't deserve what you just said. You would never speak that way to somebody. So recording it is like really tough. Like that's when you really get to be like, "Woof, buddy,
Buddy,
take it
yeah,
easy, man. Take it
exactly.
easy. You fucking made a mistake."
Right,
I,
exactly.
you know,
It's rewiring. It's just a
yeah,
reflex that you've kind of hit so many times. So yeah, the way to rewire it is actually to hear it and then just say,
yeah,
"Whoa, we got to yeah,
yeah.
different path."
Yeah,
Well,
and then
I
the goal is eventually you don't want to listen to that recording, so you don't talk that way.
exactly,
You know,
exactly,
it's a
exactly. It's so, and just think like, um, speak kindly to yourself and speak kindly to others, and I think like we're just going to feel better overall. And you know that you're doing all the stuff, which I love. And everybody who is listening, if you haven't checked out Lee's page, which I'm sure you have, but the cold plunge, my gosh, I've seen people do that. I'm not kidding. Dozens of times. Never been inspired to do it. You inspired me to do it. Haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to find the right, place
what
to.
about the
I've been
sauna?
doing cold showers. I have a
That's a great
sauna.
start. That's a great
Yeah.
start. Is the
Yeah.
cold shower. What about the? I tell you something. I'm glad you brought it up because, like, I've been praying. So I do it first thing in the morning. So I'm in my cold plunge by 5:05, right?
Mm.
And from 5 a.m. it's pretty cold outside, and I like my room really cold and stuff. So from 5 o'clock to 5:05, every single thing in my mind is thinking of ways to get out of it. Do it later. You did it yesterday. Sleep is just as important, which is true. All of these things that are all true are getting me, and I've been really wanting a day where I could shut that up. And today was the first day, ironically enough, we're talking about it. Today was the first day, like at from 5 o'clock to 5:01, I said, you're doing it. Shut up. And my mind was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, exactly.
And
That's it.
and
I
you
think that's so
just
important to realize. Like a lot of people think they're the only ones that are like, oh, I don't want to do this.
and that's what I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's
No.
so, people see my life and they're like, how does he do it? He does this and he does that, and it must be, man, guys, like, it's so hard for me. It's so hard for me to motivate myself to work out every day. So hard to go in the sauna. I always want to get out, at 15 minutes. I do 20 minutes. At 15 minutes, I can barely breathe. Everything in, like, I'm not the type of person where, like, you just do it, man. You just do it.
Right.
It's like, it's this constant battle. But I tell you, like, how being able to stick with those things that I try to talk myself out of, I think that's where the most amount of growth in my life has happened, is being able to not shut it off, but to dim the noise of my body and my mind trying to get me to not do things that I know are good for me. Dim that noise, like you're about to eat candy and you say, you can hear it, the noise is saying, like, that's not going to serve you. You shouldn't. It's like, listen to the ones that you should, and don't listen to the ones that you shouldn't,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Like,
amen. I know that's what the mind-body connection is all about.
yeah.
It's usually the mind that's going to give out, wear you out, all that way more than your body will.
Yeah.
But boy, is it can be a powerful force. So let's try. Yeah.
And
like
you're
you
going to
said.
focus on better things. When you challenge yourself in a healthy way, when you challenge yourself and you're in competition with yourself, you are then not investing time in wasted energy, arguments on social media, things that don't matter. You're too focused on bettering your body, your mind. When that is your mission, and not the return, right? Because that could sound selfish in a way. But by doing that, look what you just said. You inspired me to cold plunge. By doing that, you inspire others around you. You don't tell people to change.
Mm-hmm.
You're an example of what change looks like and sounds like. And that's the most beautiful thing you can do for this world, is change people by the example of who you are. You don't have to be a motivational speaker and all the blah, 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 say yes and do that, right? You are just who you are. People see you and say, I want some of that. What is that? you know,
Yeah, and the fact that you actually said, I struggle every morning. Like
every
it's
morning.
and my I you know, it like you said, it's growing dimmer and dimmer. And I think that's the thing that made me like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this because it was the realness of it
Yeah.
that you're seeing. And that's that cycle that we all want. You see the results, so your brain still knows like the outcome of that is really positive.
Yep.
Even if I'm not lunging into it like with a lot of happiness, I know
Sure.
the outcome. So more and more that loop is like
And that happiness comes after, you know, like
exactly.
you get the that's what's great. It's not like just the pain. That it's
Mm-mm.
not just the pain. It's not like, you know, eating a vegetable that you hate so much, but you know it's good for you. It's like the happiness is immediate. I mean, there's actual research done. There is nothing. There is not a single drug from cocaine to anything. There is not a single drug that you could take that's going to spike your dopamine levels as fast as a cold plunge.
Mm.
Like, and let's say you don't get the dopamine levels. If you take that part out of it, which is the best part, then knowing that you did it while 99.9% of people wouldn't, just for your ego alone is a beautiful thing. You know, it's okay to
Absolutely.
serve your ego in a healthy way,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So yeah,
It's learning how to like manage challenge and overcome. And I think that
that's everything right there. What you just said,
yeah.
that's exactly right. Which is it, which is what we try to do every single day when we wake up. You know what I'm saying? When
Yeah,
people ask you
yeah.
how are you doing, it's the other way of saying how are you managing your challenges and overcoming sometimes.
I love that in a simpler way. Yeah. But we should start asking that. How are you, man?
I don't know
Well,
if I want to hear every answer when I go to the grocery store and
yeah,
someone says, "How are you?"
exactly.
and I
I know,
ask that
right. Like,
back.
actually, I just wanted to hear okay or
Never
not
mind,
great.
never
Right,
mind.
right. If you're not great, I'm sorry about that. Carry on. Well, I am so appreciative and grateful for your
Yeah.
time. I could chat for so much longer, but please also really mention here, because I know you do it all the time, that you have one place where people can donate. I know that's
Yes.
infuriating for you,
Yeah.
not just that people are, creating all these accounts, but that the people aren't listening, that there is only one account. So can you please tell us where can people donate? And there's only one place.
Yeah. Though, unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of fake Extra House accounts,
Mm,
and what one thing I'll never understand, respectfully to the people who have fallen for this, are the people who hear me say, you know, I don't understand. There's people who hear me say there's only one account, and yet they still
yeah.
uh, it really makes me think that the need for human connection. It's like
Mm,
I can't help but think people actually do know it's fake, but they just want that human connection. Because these fake accounts say these nice things to these people, and you know, pretend they're in a relationship with them and all this stuff. So, um, yeah, just always remember, guys, there's only one Asher House account. TheAsherHouse.com. Our website is the absolute only place that you could donate. Our entire organization, our entire nonprofit runs off donations. 100% of sales on our website, whether it be a hoodie or a coffee mug, all is 100% nonprofit.
mm.
And that is the only place to donate, theAsherHouse.com. And no one from my team or myself, you know, we don't have the time,
You're
would
not
ever reach out to you.
soliciting. No,
Yeah,
no.
we would never reach out to you directly to introduce ourselves, to thank you, you know, for being a fan. You know, we
Hmm.
do send out a thank you with a donation, but it's automated, you know, we mean it. We are grateful, but
Right.
we would never start a conversation. And,
Yeah. This
but
is so
please don't let
important.
that
So
stop you.
please go donate, everyone, whatever amount, because what Lee and his staff are doing, um, not only having your own pack, but raising the awareness of how many animals are adopted and then returned, and
Uh,
because it was inconvenient or whatever. And it's just like bringing into like this is a responsibility. This is a relationship, and you do such a great job of really advocating truly for the animals that
Thank
we
you.
need, and it could be as simple as like you shouldn't have an animal living with you if you can't give the animal what it needs.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's about, you know. And I hope that over the years, you know, I hope my message has been. I've been doing my best to perfect the craft of articulating my thoughts and my feelings. And I hope that, you know, I only get better at it. I really just want people to be able to give themselves the best life that they can, And doing that with an animal, it really helps to be able to focus that energy on giving that animal exactly what it needs. And
Okay, this is our last question, then we're going to sign off. In that vein, I know there's many things, but what is like one of the most important things you've learned from living with these animals, being part of the pack?
Yeah, that's a good question. Even if you think your animal doesn't know what you're going through, it does.
So true. Oh.
They know. Like I'll give you an example. A few days ago, one of my dogs, I saw, this is a little bit gross, but we've all seen it. I saw one of my dogs eat a poo. Right? It ate a crap. It could have been a coyote poo or a dog poo, whatever. And I put out this negativity. I said, it's disgusting, like, what was I going to say? Like, oh, a property, right?
Yeah. Good job.
You're gross. And I could tell, I didn't react to it. I wasn't yelling, it happened, right? But I could tell that the dog was hurt.
Yeah.
Like, I could tell he was like, oh man, I
felt a little shamed. Yeah.
Yeah. And just he didn't know that it was eating the poop. He just felt the negativity from me. And I remember, he created space. He then walked on the opposite side of the pack, on the outside of the pack, as if what's it called? What's a more professional, pushing someone out?
Ostracized.
Thank you. That's the word. Thank you very much. He was ostracized. And I felt terrible. I said, hey, come here. I didn't kiss him on the mouth, of course, but I hugged him, and
we've all been there.
And I did kiss him on the face and the ear, and I just said, hey, I love you, and I really realized they can, when you're really connected, they can feel it all. So when you come home and you have this bad day and all this stress, be really careful before you walk in the door, because that dog doesn't know that it wasn't him or her.
Yeah.
Right. So it's so important to be able to manage and that's one thing that how dogs have truly bettered my life. It's when I tell my employees, I don't want loud, I don't want to celebrate, I don't want this. Always remember, there's going to be a dog around you, and I don't want that dog thinking he or she is in trouble. Everything is cool, calm, chilled, collected. We can celebrate, but we have to do it. And it's they really have taught me to be so aware of our energy and so aware.
It's like manage your shit. Don't bring it into somebody else's space. And that's
100%.
Really even more so with the animals.
And that is probably the biggest thing. What was the question again? What
is one of the biggest things you've learned by living?
Right. And that's what I've learned is the importance of, not just for your own health,
yeah, but
for the animal around you, and just for life. That energy, that vibrant energy, it's all expanding, coming in with every breath, in and out, and really be responsible with it. They know they are with you, to feel you. You don't have to say anything. It could just be a thought or a look, but be careful where you transfer that energy. That's all.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everything you're doing. You are beloved, and just keep remembering that. If you ever feel anything different, you really are.
Thank you.
And keep everything you're doing. Lots of hugs. I hope to be one of the few special guests that can come out there.
One day for sure. We'll make it happen.
I'll manage my energy.
I trust that you will. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. And for everybody listening, as always, I'm pulling for you.